All right, guys, this is it. This is the last weekend. Secure the 16-round draft solution. Secure the championship. It's that simple, guys. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafted each round. Everything you need to crush your leagues, okay? I walk through every single player drafted in each round, through full mock drafts, printable cheat sheet, all the details, like handing you the championship on a silver platter. Get the 16-round draft solution right now. Use code TUBE20 and smash your leagues. It's that simple, guys. Do not leave your draft to chance. Get 16 rounds at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com or click here below if you're watching on YouTube and use code TUBE20 to save yourself 20%. Get the solution, get the championship, all right? Today we are talking about 7 sleepers that have top 10 potential. Everyone's kind of ignoring. There's not a lot of talk about these guys. Well, some of them, they're a little higher on the ADP. One guy's a little buzzed out with the mainstream Sheeps' news. But overall, these guys are being slept on, and they have that top 10 potential. They're kind of being ignored in the mainstream Sheeps, the magazines, the outdated rankings. All this BS are telling us, hey, these guys are not top 10 worthy, but they could finish in the top 10. And that's the key, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. So 7 sleepers that have top 10 potential right here, right now. Let's get to it. All right, guys, welcome to the show. Full flow draft season. We are in it. We're drafting. Everyone's drafting. So get 16 rounds. I did a plug at the beginning of the show because I want to emphasize you cannot draft without it. Use code TUBE20. Get 16 rounds. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. And in the comments below, who is the mainstream Sheeps? Who are they really sleeping on this year? Love to get it below. Gonna have a quick episode here. I got a lot to do, guys, helping a lot of people prep for their drafts in the Patreon group. If you have not gotten Patreon and gotten into the community of Fantasy Front Lines, that's patreon.com/FF Counselor. Dive into the front lines, the only place to get direct access. Those guys are the first and front lines that I give access to, all right? The only place I get real direct access. You could drop a comment here. I may get to it. That's fine. But if you want direct access exclusive podcast, patreon.com/FF Counselor. Type it into your browser and join the Patreon front lines. All right, guys? So let's dive into this here. Let's dive in hard. Let's dive in fast. We're talking fantasy football sleepers. The first guy everyone's sleeping on that's got top 10 potential here. I like him, and this is one of the main reasons I like to go robust RB is that I can find the value at the wide receiver after I've come out of my robust RB frenzy in and around round 4 to 7, where there's a ton of good wide receiver ones that will and can easily surpass the wide receivers that you drafted in the early rounds. Let me repeat that. Rounds 4 to 7, there is a ton of wide receivers, and even beyond, there's a ton of wide receiver depth this year. There's a ton of wide receivers from rounds 4 to 7 that you can draft that will and can surpass the wide receivers that you drafted or considering drafting in rounds 1 and 2. Your Tyreek Hills, your Devontae Adams of the world. These guys can surpass them potentially, all right? So let's talk about them. The guy I'm talking about here, the first guy here that has that top 10 potential is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra sitting 62nd overall on the Sheeps' rankings in PPR, sitting 27th amongst wide receivers. This is a guy, I'm telling you, is talented. And again, I go back to that whole speech about I like hungry players. I like players that are determined, that have a chip on their shoulder, that are in relatively good situations to thrive. Now, we understand Detroit has improved their O-line. We understand that now, a year under his belt, Amon-Ra has now built that rapport with Jared Goff. And Jared Goff is no slouch. He is a relatively efficient, good quarterback that has made wide receivers pretty fantasy relevant. We saw it with Robert Woods years ago, Cooper Kupp years ago. Goff can get it done. Is he the sexiest quarterback pick for fantasy? Absolutely not. No. But Amon-Ra, where he's sitting, 27th, finished 21st last year. I like the value here. I really, really do. Coming from a guy who had 119 targets, 90 receptions, 912 yards last year, and 5 touchdowns, I think he continues to build on that this year. Again, with a chip on his shoulder, watch the video where he said that, 15 wide receivers were drafted ahead of him in last year's draft. He's hungry, man. He's out here to prove a point. I think the talent is there. I saw some quick flashes in preseason this year. I like him, and he's got that top 10 potential finish. Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 10 potential. And even if he doesn't finish top 10, you're getting this guy round 5 and after. Love the value, and he's a big-time wide receiver sleeper here, okay? Second guy here, and I don't get why people are not all over this value. The guy sitting is 40, like he's sitting double lower, right? 46 compared to Amon-Ra, who's 27th amongst wide receivers. This guy is sitting 46 on the Concheapsis rankings, guys. The guy I'm talking about here is Treylon Burks. That is absolutely insane for a guy who was drafted in the first round, and there's a void at wide receiver. Let me repeat that. There's a void at wide receiver, and this guy was drafted in the first round. Now, they've got other options. Of course, Robert Woods is there. I get it. And, they're saying Kyle Phillips looked good, right? Kyle Phillips, young player, has been showing some flash. Let me see if there's any news on Kyle Phillips as of late. I think he'll be more using the punt return type situations here. Let me just see if there's any news on him at all shining more in training camp or anything like that. Apparently, he's tough to cover. He receives praise. So there is talk about Kyle Phillips, wide receiver here for the Tennessee Titans that could emerge. He's only 23 years old as well. Now, here's the deal. Treylon Burks is a first-round pick. I think Treylon Burks is the most talented out of the bunch, bottom line. And again, like I said, they do have other options, but you're drafting this guy for literally free after the 7th round, 8th round, 9th round. If you guys remember last year, A.J. Brown was being drafted as a top 10 receiver, and he busted. He finished 32nd amongst wide receivers last year. I've got it pulled up right here. A.J. Brown, 32nd, played 13 games, 105 targets, 63 receptions, 869 yards. He couldn't even crack 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. A.J. Brown is not that good, and everyone's drafting him again top 10. I told you, fade him last year. Now he goes to the Eagles, where they already have a wide receiver one, Devontae Smith. That's crazy. So many people are investing a high draft capital in A.J. Brown, but look at the replacement, Treylon Burks. I get him. He's a sleeper. He's got that top 10 potential. If A.J. Brown, who sucks, was a top 10 by the Concheapsis last year, why wouldn't Treylon Burks be there? He's a plug-and-play for A.J. Brown, theoretically. High draft capital they invested in him. They drafted him in the first round, and he's sitting 117th overall, 46th amongst wide receivers, and has that top 10 potential. Why not? And even if he doesn't finish top 10, even if Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't finish top 10, even if none of these guys that I list here finish top 10, this proves that there's a ton of depth at wide receiver and the other positions that I'm stating here. So absolutely love him. Treylon Burks, stash him on your benches. He's a plug and play. A.J. Brown's gone. He was a top 10 by the Concheapsis last year, right? Again, if you were drafting A.J. Brown last year and spending a first, second round pick on him, why wouldn't you spend an 8th, 9th, 10th round pick on Treylon Burks? I did. I'm buying it. I'm sold. And I get him as my wide receiver 4, 3, 4, right? Okay, no brainer. Next guy here, another big-time sleeper here, sitting 39th on the Concheapsis rankings, could finish top 10, sitting 94th overall, is Christian Kirk. Now, Christian Kirk didn't have the greatest year last year, 103 targets, 77 receptions-ish, not the greatest, 982 yards, 5 touchdowns. And when I look at that, I'm just like, you know what? Not the greatest year for my cousin Kirk. Not Kirk Cousins, but we're talking Christian Kirk here. So when I look at a guy like Christian Kirk, he had finished 26th amongst wide receivers last year. Like I said, just under 1,000 yards. He's in a situation where he got paid a lot. He's probably got a chip on his shoulder as well. He's still young. He's still dynamic. I still think he's a good playmaker, but he was shadowed by other receivers when he was with Arizona. Now he theoretically is the wide receiver 1. And you got to understand, guys, Trevor Lawrence was the first-round pick last year. So Trevor Lawrence, also another guy with a chip on his shoulder, great talent out of college. He's got, amazing talent. So when you're looking at both these guys, there's an opportunity where he's going to potentially get a lot of volume. Trevor Lawrence has to throw to somebody. They've got ATN. They've got other options. But, similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown, when Williams comes back, there's going to be options. Every team's got options. But Kirk has an opportunity because of what they paid for him to really prove himself. He's going to be used. They're not going to pay millions upon millions of bazillions of dollars for Christian Kirk and just sit him on the bench. He's going to be used. And here's the deal, guys. Great value. And you're getting a wide receiver 1 on his team. He's a wide receiver 1, theoretically, on the depth chart, and you're getting him for an absolute steal. I'm all over. I got Christian Kirk stock in a couple big money leagues. I'm all over the value, and I'm all over the talent here in regards to Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk stepping up, and that whole team has to do something this year, and Kirk is a big part of it. So, big-time sleeper, top 10 potential, baby. Why not, right? Trevor Lawrence was a number 1 first overall NFL draft pick. If he's if they believe in him that much, he was drafted first overall in the NFL last year. First overall. Why wouldn't I draft a Kirk Cousins round 7, 8, wherever I got him listed in my 16-round drafts. Why wouldn't I draft him? I would. Why not? Right? Let's keep going here. Number 4 here, this one not as big of a sleeper. Finished top 10 last year, 7th amongst running backs, sitting 16th and being slept on because you get him in the 3rd round. Has the top 10 potential, even though he's not in the top 10, according to the Concheapsis, he's like 16th. The guy I'm talking about is Zeke Elliott. Now, a lot of people are talking about a Zeke fall off. If you look at a trend of the past 3 years, there has been a pretty relative gradual, I want to say significant, but there's been a gradual decline over the past 3 years, while simultaneously at the same time, there's been a gradual incline of the Tony Pollard number. So if you saw a chart, like I said, Zeke's is going down in regards to attempts and Pollard is going up. Am I concerned? No, because I really believe that the Cowboys have to make a statement this year. They're going to have to make a run. Dak Prescott, obviously another guy that's, been paid, has to do something this year. CeeDee Lamb's got to step up. All these guys have to step up. And we look at a guy like Zeke Elliott, the guy also has to step up. Now, we look at volume distribution last year, 130 attempts to Pollard, 237 for Zeke Elliott, 1,002 yards for Zeke Elliott, 719 for Tony Pollard. Now, Zeke Elliott apparently was playing with a partially torn PCL last year, toughed it out, continued to play, and still rushed over 1,000 yards and had 10 touchdowns on the ground. I think he only gets better this year. So this trend that we've been seeing down has, I believe, hit its bottom. And now we're going to start seeing an incline back up for Zeke Elliott. So I'm still sold on Zeke. I like the value in the 3rd round and will finish top 10. Okay, so out of all these guys, you could say comfortably that Zeke Elliott is going to finish top 10. Why? Because he finished top 10 last year, partly, but because he is that RB1 on a team that likes to run the ball, not as much as they did years ago when he was a rookie, but enough so that they're going to use him near the goal line, that they're going to use him a lot. They're going to have to smash that ball, move it down the field, and open things up. Now, they lost Amari Cooper here, which would be a big void, potentially. Now, I think Tolbert's a big-time sleeper there. When Gallup gets back, I think they're going to obviously have a pretty decent wide receiver core there, and they've got Dalton Schultz. They've got some options there. But when you look at it, when you're taking a look at Zeke Elliott, you cannot deny that he's going to be running the ball. So Zeke Elliott, top 10 potential. And I'm telling you guys, he is a sleeper, and everybody's sleeping on him. And I think there's been a big amount of disrespect for him. Now, there was a 4-letter network that came out and said, this guy is a tier, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5, a tier 5 running back is what they're calling him and Saquon Barkley. I'm going to say here that these guys have a chip on their shoulder. Call me crazy, guys, but I really feel Zeke Elliott's going to make a statement this year. I think this is his last hurrah, right? So stay tuned there. Zeke Elliott, 3rd round pick for fantasy sleeper. Number 5 here, quarterback sleeper for you. And what blows my mind here is that, again, the Concheapsis are just falling off this guy, falling off his receivers completely. The guy I'm talking about is Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers finished where? 7th last year, guys. 7th amongst quarterbacks. Now, when I take a look, 5th amongst, I apologize, 5th amongst quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, 4,115 yards, 37 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Phenomenal year. When you look at him from an attempt standpoint, that put him 12th in attempts with 531. And again, 5th amongst quarterbacks, guys, last year, 333 fantasy points. Now, obviously, you lose your best wide receiver, but they've made it up, and they made it up really, really well with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. So Aaron Rodgers, again, will continue to thrive, will continue to throw the ball, will continue to be relatively efficient, and will finish top 10. Again, currently sitting outside the top 10, sitting 13th amongst quarterbacks, and you get this guy for around 7 or 8 for immense value. Got to draft Aaron Rodgers as your ace quarterback. Why not? And you can get a backup later. But Aaron Rodgers proves that you can wait on quarterback this year in fantasy football drafts. Coming in number 6 here, right after Aaron Rodgers, a wide receiver that could finish top 10, is a Packers wide receiver. There is some uncertainty on which one. I've got my chips all on the Christian Watson stock because he was a 2nd-round pick, because he's the most athletic guy on that roster, and because Allen Lazard has not proven that he can be a true workhorse wide receiver 1. The way I look at it and the way I assess most situations is this. If Lazard was phenomenal, if Lazard was a wide receiver 1, there's no reason why he would not have surpassed, Devontae Adams. Well, you're going to say, well, Joe, that doesn't make sense. Devontae Adams is phenomenal talent. You're not thinking like I think. I think with huge goals in mind. I think big. I don't think small. When I draft a wide receiver, I'm looking for grand slams. So when I look at a guy like Lazard, he's not a grand slam guy. Well, you're saying, well, Joe, Devontae Adams is. Why aren't you drafting Devontae Adams now? Well, that's a whole other story. He's got a downgrade at quarterback. He's there with Waller. He's there with Renfro. He had Aaron Rodgers. He had years of rapport. And, they've got a wide receiver one there with Renfro. He was last year, right? So who's to say Renfro doesn't still have that rapport? And he peaked at 128 targets, right? That was their top receiver last year, the Raiders. 128 target, Hunter Renfro. Now they're bringing 169 target, needy Davante Adams. So that's a whole different situation. But the point I'm trying to make here for this scenario is that Lazard has not proven he's the one, right? If he was superior, if he was the alpha of the group, he would have easily surpassed Davante Adams. So what I'm saying is, could Watson be the alpha? I'm willing to pay a sleeper late round stash pick and draft him. Why not? I even stacked Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson in one league. Okay, so I'm okay with drafting those guys. That's fine. I've got the Christian Watson Romeo Doubs stack because I'm looking for the alpha there. Watkins sucks. Randall Cobb sucks. So one, if not maybe two wide receivers from Aaron Rodgers and the Packers could finish as top 10. I got Watson, top 10 potential finish there for you guys. Big time wide receiver sleeper. And the last one here, you guys know what I was talking about him earlier before everyone else. Nobody else was talking about him, is Damion Pierce. We have not seen a really good rusher for the Texans since Arian Foster from years ago, 2011, 10, 12, something like that. So Damion Pierce has that potential to really, really shine, and he's really still sitting low on the Consheepsis rankings. Now, he's really jumped up. Let me see where he is sitting here. Damion Pierce. He's still sitting 36th on the Consheepsis, which is ludicrous, sitting behind Devin Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Gibson, which, again, Brian Robinson, very unfortunate, was shot, apparently just got out of hospital, doing good, in process of healing now. He's with team coaches, apparently. I think he was shot in the leg, so he should get back. He was almost going to be starter there, and then because Gibson just is not good. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is all these guys that won't finish ahead of Damion Pierce potentially are ranked ahead of him. So Damion Pierce has that top 10 potential finish if he gets the workload, if the Texans offense starts gelling properly, and you're getting them for free. So not for free, but his ADP has actually gone up. As early as the 5th round he's coming off, which is absolutely crazy. But what I'm saying is this. He's a sleeper that could finish top 10. That's the whole point of this actual video. All right, guys? So Amon-Ra St. Brown, sleeper. Treylon Burks, Christian Kirk. Everyone's ignoring him. Zeke Elliott, Aaron Rodgers, Christian Watson, or a Packers wide receiver, and Damion Pierce. All right, guys? 7 sleepers that could finish top 10. And there's more guys. There's a ton of guys that could slide up and finish top 10. The Consheepsis are sleeping on them. If you want to know who those sleepers are, get the 16-round draft solution. Linked it below. Use code TUBE20. Save yourself 20%. Appreciate you guys. Thumbs up. Drop a comment below. Who's really being slept on, ignored this year? Drop it below. I appreciate you guys. I'm out.